Kimi here. Who else would it be? This is Observations with Otsu. I'm glad to have you here and thank you for listening. Today is November 19th. Today's topic is Return of the Memes. We're going to take a look at this. The past two videos we looked at from a bullish perspective to see how bullish things are, to see how wrecked bears are. That still seems the case. And so for this video, we're going to look at Ethereum or Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. But then we're going to switch gears and look at meme coins. We're not going to talk about Sui today, but we'll talk about some meme coins, Dogecoin, Popcat, and a few others, and see where we're going. And then the one that I am particularly looking at is Bongo. It's something that I've talked about extensively in my private Discord with the link in the description. And we've been in that for quite a long time. But we'll talk about that, how I still think it's going to be a good runner. So we'll just get started. That's the preliminaries. No extra things today. We're just going to get straight to the charts. A small technical video for today. All right, so we're going to take a look at Bitcoin first. You may have saw just in the previous section how I was looking at more of the daily, the 4 hour. We will get into that. I think there are some things, not concerns. I'm not bearish by any means, but I think there could be some consolidation coming up, honestly, for the next 20 to 30 days. But we'll look at things from the weekly perspective. This is a weekly perspective video, so that's what I want to look at first. A lot of people tend to neglect the weekly time frames. For me, it is extremely important. To me, it's just as important as getting your morning cup of coffee or getting your reading in. For me, I try to get up early, get a cup of coffee, read my Bible, and that's how I start my day. And that's very important to me because that gives me the context for the rest of the day. Same with the weekly time frames and trading. Okay, the higher time frames will give you context for the daily, 4 hour, etc., because you don't want to be off sides, especially in a market like this where it's probably easier than ever to kind of focus on that. So we'll get started with this. And so with last week's candle, I want to talk about that first, even though we're almost halfway through this candle. But we had a pretty good bullish candle, and so far we've had three bullish candles in a row. The last two are really significant, and I kind of want to put this from a price range perspective. The last 2 weeks prior were about 30%. Last week's candle was about 11%. Okay, so we've been doing pretty good here, and honestly, including the current candle, and I mentioned this before, really up until the beginning of September. Actually, the September would be here. Beginning of September would be about 63%. So we've been pretty much on a tear, 63% since September, and honestly 69% since the bottom. And so, I think the bears have been silenced for the most part with this. I think at this point I mean this with all love and care, you are delusional if you think that this is some sort of trap or some sort of, like, if you're so fixed on bearish bias, I really think you are borderlining or have crossed the border into delusion, because the markets have never been really this good in a long time. Like, just look at this from this bottom to here. Okay, even if you go to the top with the divergence, that was 179%. Okay, so we're 30% there already. Like, we're 30% into the biggest rally that we've had for 4 years. Okay, and so I'm not saying you can't. Actually, I am saying you wrong. Like, because you just don't go up 60-70% and then just it's all a trap. Okay, that's a confirmed rally. Okay, I mean, we're almost double from where we were. Actually, from the lows here, I mean, if you really want to stretch it out, like, you're almost double from that. Like, you have to call into your question your bearish worldview with this. And, and it's okay to be wrong. Like, if you were wrong about it, then fine, move on, accept that. Okay. One of the reasons I've been able to be better at trading over the past 8 years is because I am a failure. Okay. Like, it's not because I am a successful trader. It's because I'm a terrible trader and I learn from my mistakes. I try to learn everything from my mistakes. I analyze, very fine, all the details of what I'm doing wrong and how to fix that. And over time, it helps you. Like, it's just like trying to do a health routine or exercise or some sort of discipline. You learn one at a time, one step at a time. And if you do one step every day, you're gonna go up. You're gonna go up. I don't know, 20 floors in a year, kind of thing. Like, if you just learn one thing every day, you're gonna learn over 300 things per year. Multiply that by 8 years, and then you're starting to work on that, right? And so, actually, there was a tweet by Pump Fund talking about people's performances, and I posted that in my Discord if you're in that. Like, but 88% of people made either lost money or made less than $100 in the market for the past 2 weeks, and I cannot believe that. That that's insane to me. That and I don't know if people are working with no money or what they're doing, but like you're in the top half of 1% if you've made over $10,000. Okay, and so it's one of those things where like that's a weird statistic to me because this market has never been more fruitful. You need to play this easy. Okay, you need to have a lower IQ, so to speak, to try to like don't look too into this. A lot of this is market behavior, trying to panic sell, panic buy, whatever. You shouldn't panic buy on pumps. You shouldn't panic sell when things are going down. Like you should be prepared for all those contingencies. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. And so same with the bear price action for Bitcoin here, not to diverge from the topic, but we've rallied significantly. This is a new paradigm. And I've mentioned this before. We are not in a ranging market. We're in a trending market, and that has to give a new perspective. Even if you think you were wrong, it's fine. It's whatever. If I'm right, it's fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You just got to see what comes next and how to take advantage of that. At the end of the day, I'm telling you, after 8 years now, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I really don't. It's like, can I take advantage of this? Can I make some money out of this? And that's all that is to it, right? And so, as far as price discovery with this, there's no, I mean, since we're in price discovery, we can't, again, we're in a trending market, we can't do any sort of price action perspective. But one thing we can do is look at this from a trend point standpoint, and we're right here. And so, this makes me think that we will probably top out here for a little bit, maybe 2 weeks. I don't think that we're going to go too significantly. I mentioned this about a week or two ago that I think that we could get some challenge here at 92, 93,000. We are. So that makes me think that we're going to drop down. We're going to reaccumulate. I'll get to that here in just a second. But I do think reaccumulation is on the table. Now, switching back to, as far as price targets from a price action perspective, which I think is mostly out the window, you're really just looking at this. This is your swing high order block. So we're well above the 73,000 marker, and I don't like we'd have to look at this from a lower time frame perspective to get this, but we're well above that. I don't think that's a concern. I think this trend line is a much better concern. I say concern very lightly. Like I'm not concerned about this market. I think the market's stronger than ever. It's very healthy. It looks really good. This is why you don't pay attention to FOMC meetings because they'll chop you out, and a lot of people are sidelined here, and it's because they just weren't paying attention to these obvious signs, especially like Aaron, for example. Like Aaron gave me really good opportunities to be bullish here, and it was even bearish until, I mean, just flipping Aaron on the bull side was right here, right? And so just buying when Aaron was bullish would have made you 35%. So it is what it is. But speaking of Aaron, we're in a full, this big tick going horizontally. That's very bullish. We had this right here going trending, here going trending as well. There's no consolidation here. There's no verge of consolidation. This is a clean. And I still think that we could go higher. I'm not saying that we're going to reject here, but we have to wait to the end of the week to see that. I mean, we'll see how that goes. So far, it looks pretty good. RSI is getting up there, but it's still pretty low. 75 is low in my opinion. Anything under 80 is fine. So that's pretty much what the weekly looks like. Now going on to the daily here, and I'm going to kind of get rid of this, kind of adjust this here. We have a bearish divergence, and so that is something that I'm looking at. We also have a hidden bullish divergence, and so this is your divergence here, looking pretty strong. You actually have, I think you have a wedge formation too, and this isn't the best one. And I'm not super thinking about this wedge either, but that's kind of making me think that. So we'll get rid of that here. Look at this on the daily. You have your divergence. You have a full bull trend here. Everything is looking fine right now. But now I do want to go to the 4-hour here, because this is setting up to be a reaccumulation period. And so what happens with this is when you have something like this is your swing high. And so we tend to come back down. I don't know where the arrow chart, where's the arrow? They've moved this. Shouldn't have just, I was on a roll. Let's see, where's the arrow? So like we tend to come back down to here, like the range lows. And so this is going to freak people out. Okay, and this is what I'm currently proposing, is that we come back down to the range lows, that we're going to hit somewhere here right around the mid to high 80s. and that's not really that bad. I think how bad is that? It's like 6%. I think that's easily achievable. People are going to freak out. People are going to think the top is in. Bears are going to get excited, and so I think we're going to come down here within the next week before Thanksgiving. It's probably going to be down here, and then we're going to consolidate here in the 80s, and then we're going to go up. And so by the beginning of December to maybe even mid-December, we're going to rally. Okay, and I think that we'll hit 100,000 before the end of the year, and that's not a big ask. I mean, that's only like 8,000, 7,000 away, but that's what I'm looking at with this. Okay, and so, and then with this, I'm kind of looking at this, and then you know back low here just a little bit, and then we rally. So, and then I think that we do something like this, and then we get a new high roughly. And I'm not looking at time stamps right here, but I'd say probably December though we start to get that. So this is what I'm looking at with this. Okay, so that is Bitcoin. Very short, simple. That's kind of what I'm looking at. All right, so I also want to go really briefly here to total before we go to Ethereum. I just kind of want to mention this. We have made a new closing high, and I really don't see a lot of this. In fact, my timeline is pretty silent across the board as far as just everything. I don't know if people are silent or what, but there's not a lot of excitement. A lot of people are entrenched in the Solana memes, and and I've been in the memes too. But the thing is, I mean, I don't understand. Like the market's doing really really good, but it doesn't seem like people are making a lot of money. I don't really understand that, right? And so, I mean, meme coins are fun. I think you can make some money, but I also think a lot of people are fooling people. Like I saw someone with 55,000 followers earlier this week, about 2 days ago, shill a $500,000 market cap coin. It went up to I think it went up to like 10 or 15 million, and then it went all the way down to like basically 500,000 again. And so to me, that was a very clear case of pump and dump, sort of like get in, get out, grifting kind of thing. And that's I mean that's pretty bad. I think that that's pretty bad. Me, that borderlines on illegal activity. It probably is, but that's not my point. The point is some of you guys are chasing these things, right? You're chasing people to follow these things. They're saying it's the next greatest thing ever, and then the next day it's dead, and then you wonder why you're losing money. Like, you need to understand you can't just follow that kind of stuff, right? You need to have some sort of autonomy about your strategy, and that's one of the key things. Like, a lot of you guys follow me and you guys claim that I do well and whatever. I'm not saying one way or the other, but what I want to share to you is that I eventually want you, and I've said this before, I eventually want you to go away. I eventually, I want you to do that by me helping you learn how to trade, and then you trade on your own. Okay, it's just like, a parent with their kids. It's just like you teach them the ways how to operate life, and then because at one point my mom and dad raised me, and now they don't. And that's the thing. Like, eventually you need to wean yourself off and grow up in a loving sense, and then just move on. And I think that's the key, right? That more importantly, you're going to get your personal edge that only you yourself can really apply, right? And I teach my edges all the time, but very few people can actually apply it. So here's the swing high liquidity block here. We actually closed above the mid, but we did close into a new high, and this is pretty good. This is what I like. We're only at 70 on the RSI. Aaron's looking pretty good. And so I would expect this to continue to rally. This looks very Bitcoin-ish, but I think that this is looking pretty good. Now, I do want to go back to Ethereum here. And Ethereum has gone about, it's down 3% in a decent market day. The market's all over the place here. And, the Bitcoin put in a high. And I think like I said, I think that reaccumulation is coming in here. Like I said, with that pattern. But going back to Ethereum here, you have your big continuation pattern on the weekly. I think you just saw it on a different chart, but I need to save those long positions. So here's what this looks like from this position here. This is a good creep up. I like this. I mentioned this in my regular video, how something like this on a trend line, a consolidation at a trend line support is actually bullish, because this is support basically. Trend lines, they'll favor that. Now, horizontals don't typically be the case. Now, with Ethereum, we have this push up to the upside here. I don't particularly like this. Now, when you have a zone like this is a pretty complicated zone. Not it is, but it isn't. But for this sake, you don't really know where to go. I usually just mark out like a midline like this. I call it a fib block, and then it tapped into the highs and it's going to reject here. So this is what we're looking at. Looking at a retest at 29.25. If not, it's going to come back down to 27.40. So this is kind of what we're looking at. I do think that this is a continuation. This is a clear continuation pattern, in my opinion. Doesn't get much simpler than this. You have the bullish cross here. You have the RSI push. But it just needs some time, unfortunately. Unless we rally significantly, that may be different. But I think this is going to be a long-term spot play only. This is only what I'm looking at, and I think as much as you might like Ethereum, trust me, I had this issue with Litecoin way years ago. I was just obsessed with Litecoin. I held Litecoin for 4 years, and I eventually just broke even, and I was sick of it. And so there's a way that you can take profits, and then you can make money off of this while still, you can't marry your coins. Okay, you need to understand these things are arbitrary. You're here to make money eventually. If you want to hold them for 10, 20 years, whatever, that might be different. But my point is, you see this, Bitcoin's up 2%. Solana's break even, Sui and Dogecoin are up. Ethereum is, out of these five, Ethereum is the only one that's really red, okay? And Solana might go up and down, but Ethereum is the only one that's been underperforming, and it's been underperforming significantly for the past 3 years, okay? I mean, we did, if you got in, even if you got in the low here at 1,000 and you sold up here, you're only doing a 3x, which Bitcoin and Solana, and actually all Bitcoin, Solana, Sui, Dogecoin all did more than 3x in that same time period. Okay, so Ethereum is heavily underperforming. I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, but if you're focused on Ethereum, you are not beating the market. Okay, you're not, and that's just how it is. So now, could this be a lagging situation where it might outperform the other coins later? Perhaps, but it needs to show us something, right? And so I think. I don't know. I think there's a chance for this to get to 7,000. I think 10. A lot of people are looking at 10,000, but I think 7,000 is a very good conservative target, and that's only about little over 2x from here, and that's not it's like 130%. That's not very good. So anyway, that's just how I perceive it. I'm not interested really at lower time frames than this, just because it is underperforming. Like, I don't know why I should look at a coin that's underperforming when I could look at something else that's actually behaving better. It's also more liquid in a sense, and so that's kind of how I'm looking at this with Ethereum. So again, not trying to discourage people, but I think your R&R has never been good with Ethereum as far as the other coins. I still think that's going to continue, right? So anyway, that is Ethereum. Let's go to Solana. All right, on to Solana on the weekly here. Very interesting chart here. Again, another push very similar. I don't think I need this, so I'm not sure. See if I can get rid of it. There we go. I couldn't get rid of this yesterday, but anyway, got rid of those. We're good. So for the past 2 weeks, very significant rally. We started this rally roughly at like $162. We're pretty much at 230. So pretty good. Pretty good rally. We're touching this zone. I've already marked this out before from yesterday's video, but we're tagging the resistance here, so we could see some issue. Again, not a fierce rejection. You need to understand that there are certain types of things that can go on when you touch resistance. You could reject very hard. You could reject very soft. You could consolidate, and we'll see. The softer it is, the better. That means we're probably just consolidating. Typically, you don't want to blow through this because that creates a breaker move, and then we're going to snap back down. That means the supply, the supply is not ready for the demand, and so that would come back to you. But now we got a pretty good resistance. It's looking pretty good. This was our previous consolidation resistance that did pretty well, bounced back up. It's very possible we could come back to 200. We'll see. I don't think this is the case because this is very strong. We're only at 69% on the RSI, so very, very, very good. RSI, or the ARN, is very strong as well. Full bull trend. Bear side is trying to come up. Usually that just ends up being a consolidation, but we'll see where that goes. But we are very close to getting a new closing high, and that would be roughly like, well, honestly, it'd be above, basically above 250. So, and I think we should get there. I don't think this is a shock to anybody. I think if you got in at $20 and under, this is probably one of the best trades for this entire market cycle. One of the most obvious coins, and whether you got in or didn't, that's fine. But it was pretty interesting to kind of see this go up. Very strong. It still remains strong. And you had this huge consolidation with this flag, right? And so you had this trend line break here. And so that was really a good indication that we would continue to rally. So it's very good. Now, as far as price targets above this, I don't really have any, honestly, because this doesn't have any sort of trend situation here. So you can't really work with this. There's nothing to really work on in this regard as far as price targets. So you really just have to go for psychological price targets, which is 300. That's going to be the next one, 350, 400 on that regard. So you kind of just have to play that out. Now, the daily is going to give us some context here. You have a kind of a soft rejection here. We're going to see how this works. This will be based off of the 4-hour here. And so this is basically a big range. And then we do have a divergence here, which makes me think that we could come back down, revisit the 220 region. And I think with Solana being so strong, I think the buy the dip scenario is an active strategy that could be useful here, because you have a hidden bull div as well. So this is probably going to reaccumulate, in my opinion. I think this is going to follow Bitcoin in that regard. It's going to reaccumulate with Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin and Solana will kind of underperform for the next 2 weeks, but I think the rest of the market will do much better. So we'll see how that goes. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. If it comes down anywhere between the 221 to 225, I think that's a pretty good buy opportunity, in my opinion. And so we'll see where that goes. Now, as far as this goes on the trend line break, if it can go above this red line, then it's going to go parabolic. You're going to see 300, possibly 400, because we're entering this market phase where things are going to start going parabolic. I mean, if to be honest with you, this is really just kind of a channel. It's not the best channel, but it does kind of work. And so, you can look at it like that or so. But a play of that channel will determine the longer term direction. So now I want to talk about some memes, and we're going to go to Dogecoin first. We're going to visit dogwifhat and BONK, and then we're also going to look at Pepe, based off of the Coinbase listing, see what kind of effect that could have had, and then we'll see if we can get some others in. I would like to cover Bongo if I can as well. So let's go ahead and go to Dogecoin here on the weekly. And so pretty good response here. We're at the 85 percentile. I've mentioned here that I think, we were looking at a rounded bottom here on the daily. Seems like we're kind of creeping up here a little bit. I don't think this is rallied just yet. If you wanted to play this on the daily here, you would want to put a long position based above the zone here, entry down at the below, and then you could target accordingly. Sorry, I got to adjust this here to kind of see where this would be, roughly right up here, about 2.12. So not very high, and not for 2 hours, not very long. 40%. I mean, you could target up here to the top. I think that we could get there. That would be a 4.3, and I think we probably see $1.50 Dogecoin. Although I'm not sure if we'll get it just yet. I'm a big fan of that. We're going to get a rounded bottom like this, and that might just be the beginning, that we're going to kind of round out here. We'll see where that goes. Dogecoin is very strong here. This could give us a new rally, and just because we get a new rally here on the highs doesn't mean it's necessarily over, because this was actually a pre-pump here, and that's the thing. If you're looking at this from a date range, it's roughly where that was. It's about 17 weeks, and so that could take us into the end of January. I still think the end of January is a very good fixed point to look at things from, like, exhaustion. Like, everything might be over by then. So we'll see where that goes. But as far as Dogecoin, very strong performing here. Very good sign with the meme coins as well. And, and I mentioned that trade, like 2 to 4 hours. It's not very big, because, from a weekly perspective, I mentioned in my Discord group, I mentioned about 17R, and that's, because we got in so low down here. And that's the thing. This is why I really, really, really focus on trying, not just to try to get early, but actually buy the bottom. I have tried to create my strategy to find tops and bottoms, and it's not because it's honestly not to try to brag. I'm really not. I have bought the bottom at Bitcoin, and I sold the top. The last top that we had, I sold. The last bottom we had, I bought. And the reason I did is because I found out ways to find that. And of course, I was wrong in other ways. I did think 30,000 was the bottom last time. I got invalidated. But then I did buy again at about 17,000, and that was correct. And so I'm going to miss out. And here's the thing: if there's 4 different chances you think are going to be the bottom, you get stopped out the first 3 times, but you get it the 4th time, that fourth time is going to make up for it because of your size. Okay, you're going to have a lot of size with that, and that's why I focus on it. So I'm not trying to say you guys are too late to this, but this is where we're starting to get into a trending market. Focus on that from a trending perspective, where and this is kind of what that looks like. If you can get above this zone here, and this is a 1 hour, and so that's the thing. You're going to have to zoom in significantly to get a decent play. And I hate to say it, but that's just what it is. You could have a new high here, and you could have your stop here that's very tight if you wanted to kind of I'm just putting it roughly 10%, and then you could go from there. Target 60 cents, something like that. That's kind of what I'm looking at for those of you that may not have gotten in and you want to get in. That's kind of what that would look like. But you're also going to have this fear and anxiety that you're going to have to overcome. Whereas, like, well, this could go down. You're absolutely right. It could go down. And that's why, again, I focus on buying bottoms or up, rounded bottoms in particular are very healthy. Consolidation lows are also really good because that gives you the best R&R to work with. You don't have to be concerned about downward, price actions and things like that. So that's just something to to look at with that. And so that's Dogecoin. I think it's still going to perform. I still think we could see a little bit of a drop here, and honestly, like downward to 34 cents is probably that's the do or die region. I mean, we have a good rounded bottom on the 1 hour, so we're probably going to go up from there. So we'll see how that goes. But that is Dogecoin. Let's go ahead and look at BONK and WIF at the same time. All right, so here is WIF. We're going to take a look at this on the weekly first. We had a good bullish candle up here, but we're still kind of in this zone. And so this is a zone that I want to look at from this perspective. Okay, and so that's your low, that's your high. You kind of tag the mid, so we're kind of within this midsection between $3.70 and then $2.80 roughly. It's kind of what we're looking at as far as that structure. Either side, if that breaks, that will look pretty good. We do have a bearish consolidation. It's trying to cross up, and that's this could lead to another drop down. I think that we could get a 280 here, and so I think WIF is going to underperform, honestly, versus other meme coins. And I think that's just kind of how meme coins are. A lot of meme coins, except for there's a few exceptions. There's Dogecoin, there's BONK, things like that. We'll get to BONK here in a second. But that's where I think, part of meme coins is the speculation. The community is not isolated on one particular coin. Well, I disagree with the mainstream idea of meme coins. A lot of people think the meme coin itself is the community, and I disagree with that. I think the community is the community, and the community will fluctuate. Like there's a meme community, and they cycle through the memes. It's almost like it's almost like a social media type of community that changes its topics, and instead of changing topics, it changes meme coins, right? So it's going to cycle through different types of meme coins. Now there's always going to be your big hits, right? And I'm not sure if the WIF is going to be a big hit. We'll see where that goes. I think it's an okay deal here, but I will see. I think WIF is fine. I think being on Solana certainly helps, but it has underperformed in other coins. So we'll see how this goes, especially with things like Peanut and things like that. But WIF is looking pretty. I still think it's looking okay. We might get the drop here in about the $3 range, and then I think $3 between $2.80 to $3 is a good buy opportunity for a long term. And so we'll see how that operates. We're almost at 50 RSI here. A good 50% bounce would be also ideal. So that is WIF. We're going to take a look at BONK here. It's up 7% and actually made a new high. I'm not sure what that is, but in case I need it, I'll go somewhere else and go here. I'm not sure that is here. We'll just get rid of that. So anyway, so here is BONK. Get rid of this as well. It made a new closing high. It's looking really solid here. And a lot of people are talking about BONK guy and things like that. I certainly think that BONK guy did help BONK's performance. And that's a pretty significant candle there. And so looking at some good stuff here. And now this is your trend line. Actually, it's more so like this, because we're missing some price history. But it pushed up above the zone, retested here. This is solid. We're going into price discovery here. And so that's very good. We also have a lower bullish cross, but still a bullish cross. So we're kind of looking at that. And honestly, we're in a price discovery here. So there's not really much else you could look at with this. I mean, you do have a trend line here to be looked at. But as long as this holds, I think this is fine. This is actually a channel. And so as long as that channel holds, I think we're going to continue to higher. Now, this could certainly break, and then it could come down. If it does, I'm looking at this about the 4,000 region. Anywhere between 3,500 to 4,000 region. That's kind of where I'm looking at for a retest point if we get that. That would be a good buy opportunity there. But pretty short and sweet for BONK. Actually, want to look at those two. Is that okay? That retested above the zone, so that makes me think that this is actually a really good buy opportunity. And so, look at this here. There we go. So there's a reason why this is consolidating the trend. This broke this parabolic break, and so this is a good opportunity as well. You could do market long, put your stop loss underneath the zone here at 8, and then you could just target whatever you might feel. I'm going to just put that here just for a short example, 4.4. The take profit would be wherever there's weakness. There's no weakness right here. That's not a divergence or anything like that. So BONK is looking pretty good. So that's BONK. I'm going to look at one more coin and we'll end the video. All right, so last but certainly not least is going to be Bongo. This is a coin that we talked about in my private Discord. So I have a free Discord that everybody has access to. Try to do about 5 videos a week, about 10 minutes each. I do a private group as well where we have private videos and private discussions. One of the discussions is a small group section. It's been one of our most active channels in the past really 3 weeks. But one of the coins we talked about was Bongo. Okay, we talked about this way back here, roughly about $7 million. And so, and I'm a smaller account, roughly. Like I still have less than 10,000 followers. So this certainly wasn't me. I don't have the ability to swing these. Okay, and it went up pretty good. And so it got listed on Mexi today. It got listed on Gate.io a couple days ago. It's already been listed on Moonshot and those other kind of Pump.fun, things like that. So this is a pretty solid coin. It has a good solid team as well. This is a meme coin that's gaining some extra traction here, and it just hit over the $1 million market cap here. And so for those of you that are in my private Discord, you have a 14x right now. And so, but as far as everybody else, like it is, I don't know where you might be if you bought this or whatever, but I still think this is going to go. My personal target to start with is going to be $150 million and possibly higher. And so we'll see where, I think 150 million is still pretty cheap. As far as this goes, I think it's ranked 15th on the cat memes now. So it's doing very, very good. And I think it could continue to rally. And I think this has a lot of similar footprints to PopCat. I think a lot of people in the PopCat community are in Bongo, and a lot of people in Bongo are in PopCat. So it's, they're kind of siblings or cousins, I should say. So Bongo is a very popular meme as well, especially in Asian markets. So, but that's something, in America too. But this is looking pretty good. You have a pretty good candle here, and so we'll see how this works. But one thing I like here is that we do have this trend line push to the upside. So if we can hold, we still have, we have 30 minutes here for this, but if it can hold 100 million within the next 35 minutes, then this is probably going to go parabolic here. And so we'll see where that goes. Sometimes that doesn't go parabolic, and sometimes it does, but that gives you a higher probability. Because this is supposed to reject here. And when it doesn't, that means that we are going to accelerate typically. And a lot of times we do. We'll see where this goes. Okay, we still have, again, 35 minutes to go. And we just finished a high bullish cross, about 67%. And that's looking pretty solid. We bounced off the 50. And some other key regions here, like we're bouncing off the 50 EMA, and we're also bouncing off the 50 RSI. Those are key things to look at for small caps. So, and Bongo's not a small cap anymore, but it was when I first shared it in my group. So, anyway, that is Bongo. Just thought I want to present that, and I think it's a very underrated coin right here. And again, it's 15th at 100, less than 100 million. So, or a little bit over 100 million. So it's I still think it's undervalued despite the fact that it's ran up for so much. So that is Bongo, and that's the meme coins that I'm going to share today. We had a lot of meme coins, and I think meme coins have been pretty. There's a lot of underperforming meme coins. There's a lot of good ones, and I think the battle is trying to figure out which is which, not focusing on influencers too much. And I'd say just focus on the charts. The charts will give you hints on what to look for, and looking at the liquidity, things like that, and the market value, see where things are at, and see what the focus is with that. So anyway, that is Bongo. Those are meme coins. So let's go ahead and you finish out this video. All right, so that's the video. I'm not going to cover all the other coins again because I covered so much, so you can just go ahead and check them out one by one. I think the main focus for me is this reaccumulation period. We got this push above, now we're getting this rejection, so I think that we're going to come back down. We'll see where this goes. I think people are going to get really scared and concerned about this, that we're going to invalidate, but I think we're going to hold above 85,000. That's going to be the key swing for me. We may even tap below into 85 and then come back up, do a fake out. I think that would especially get everybody, and that would be a good deviation for the next rally. If we get below 40, if we get below 46, dip down here and we break back above, that's a big long signal for me. That's major. Fake out deviations are major buy signals in my opinion. So anyway, so that's the video. Let me know what you think. I'm happy to discuss things more, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care.